everybody, and welcome back to another episode of our Horsemanship 101 series presented by Hanson and Riding School. Today we're going to be talking about the different parts of the saddle. The saddle is what we sit in when we ride our horse. In hunter-jumper disciplines, we use an English saddle, which is smaller and lighter than a Western saddle. In an English saddle, riders have closer contact with the horse's sides, and their weight is distributed differently on the horse's back, both of which help the horse and rider get into the right position when flatting and jumping. It's very important that your saddle fits you and your horse properly. The different parts of the saddle work together to hold the saddle on, keep the horse comfortable, and keep the rider in the correct position and out of the horse's way. The saddle is held together by an interior frame called the tree. Trees can be made out of metal, wood, or carbon fiber. Be very careful when handling the saddle, as breaking the tree can compromise the fit of the saddle and is very expensive to fix. The front of the saddle is called the pommel. The shape of it helps keep the weight off of the horse's withers and prevent the riders from getting too far forward. Just behind the pommel is the twist, which is the narrowest part of the saddle, following the shape of the spine. The seat is where you sit in the saddle. It is the widest part of the saddle, and typically has a bit of cushion to make it more comfortable. The cantle is the back of the saddle. It tapers upward to prevent the rider from sliding backwards in the tack. The small flap below the twist is called the skirt. It covers the stirrup bar to provide a smooth surface of contact for the leg. The stirrup bar is a metal hook embedded into the tree of the saddle, from which the stirrup leather is hung. The stirrup leather is threaded around the stirrup bar to hold it on the saddle, and should move around it fairly easily so you can adjust the stirrups. The buckle of the leather should sit right on the stirrup bar to prevent it from rubbing the rider's leg. The saddle D also sits under the skirt and can be used to attach a breastplate or breast girth, which prevents the saddle from slipping, or a grab strap. Be gentle with the saddle D, as they can pretty easily rip out of the saddle when pulled on. The stirrup iron is what your foot goes in when you ride. The bottom, where your foot goes, is called the footbed, while the part where the leather threads through is called the eye. When you're not riding, you should put your stirrups up so that they don't flop around or get caught on anything. Run the stirrup up the back of the leather, all the way to the stirrup bar, then tuck the leather through the middle of the stirrup under the footbed. For extra security, you can wrap the leather around the side of the stirrup iron and then tuck it back under the footbed. The stirrup leathers attach the stirrup to the saddle. They are a long piece of leather, kind of like a long belt, with a buckle and holes so you can lengthen or shorten them between flatting and jumping or different riders. To adjust, pull the buckle down away from the stirrup bar and move the buckle to the desired hole. Then pull the buckle back up to the stirrup bar. The small keeper helps to prevent the excess stirrup leather from flapping around or looking untidy. The whole rounded piece that sits under your leg is called the saddle flap. It provides a layer in between the billet straps and blocks and the rider's leg to prevent rubs and pinching, and provide a smooth surface of contact for the leg. Some saddles have blocks under the flap, which can help to keep the rider's leg in the right position. The block in front gives support to the knee. The flap above this block may have some extra padding as well, which is called a knee roll. The block behind the leg helps keep the leg from sliding backwards. The billet straps are what connect to the girth to hold the saddle on the horse. While there are 3, we typically only use the first and third billets, leaving the middle one as an extra in case one of them breaks. While on the horse, you can tighten the girth by lifting the flap and pulling the billets upwards to adjust the buckle. Always make sure your girth is tight when you're riding. The big squishy parts on the bottom are called the panels, and they provide cushion on the horse's back and help distribute the rider's weight across the back. They are stuffed or flocked traditionally with wool or foam, and they can be reflocked to change the fit of the saddle on the horse. The channel down the middle of the saddle is called the gullet, and it helps distribute the rider's weight off of the horse's withers and spine. The spine has to support a lot of weight, and if it's concentrated in one area, it puts a lot of strain on the horse's back. When tacked up, the saddle pads should be pulled up into the gullet to make sure that there is space between the tack and the horse's spine. In the front, you should be able to put a whole hand in between the pads and the withers to make sure that the horse has their full range of motion, unrestricted by pads or the saddle. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of my Horsemanship 101 series presented by Hanson and Riding School. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos. If you have any questions or ideas of things you'd like to learn or content you'd like to see, let me know in the comments below and I'll try to make it happen. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to always ask why. Bye for now. a thing.
Like me wrapping myself up in the saddle.